Today, I begin to question when vintage actually starts, how far back, because I think we're looking at the newest camera to enter the collection. And I don't mean new to me, I mean manufacturer date. This is, uh, honestly, genuinely, surprisingly, the first Nikon camera I've ever owned, considering I've been doing photography for a fair amount now, and I just went full Canon at the start, and then it branched out to other things. I've never actually touched or held a Nikon camera as far as I'm aware, and the N75 is the first one. I was able to research some stuff about it. Let's talk about that. The Nikon N75 was introduced in February 2003 and discontinued in January 2006 when Nikon said they would be focusing on digital cameras and lenses going forward. This was known as the N75 in the US and the F75 most everywhere else in the world except for Japan, where it's called the U2. But it's all the same camera as far as I understand. It came in this silver and black, or just black, and brand new was $300 in 2003. Today, that works out to about $517, almost $518. But the body only would go for $190, which is about $328. According to someone's, in my opinion, rather opinionated article at the time, because I was able to read it firsthand, the internet existed in 2003. If you could get past the all-plastic body on the N75, it was essentially the same as the F5. Now, I found that on someone's article. I also found that on the Wikipedia page, which may have been sourcing that article. Quite honestly, they didn't tell you. I went and looked at the F5, and I went, well, that's not the same at all. That's got the bigger, more professional body with the extra battery space and everything. But anyway, feature-wise, I get it. It's got everything that they had up at that point, which is pretty cool. The N75's features included depth of field preview, super useful, illuminated LCDs, full VR, not sure what that meant, flash, every exposure mode and program shift, and it also had new features such as a 25 segment meter and a battery level indicator in the viewfinder. There was a version dubbed the F75D or N75D that featured a date recording back, which I think meant it would actually put the date onto, like, on the back for the photos. It would put the date on there maybe. So I guess that's, early version of metadata. Really neat. It's compatible with every Nikon lens for the past 20 years at that point. AF, VR, AFI, and AFS. So as you can tell, I don't own a Nikon lens, so I'll need to get one at some point, especially if I want to try this camera out in the future. And the fact that one of the lenses mentioned VR, that might be what it had. Not sure what that means. Variable refresh? No, that can't be it. For all that it had going for it, unfortunately, the N75 was overshadowed by the oncoming digital age. The Wikipedia page specifically mentions the D100 and D70 were more popular than this, but I think it's pretty cool. Like everything here, we've got the ability to bracket shot. That's usually the flash indicator, I believe. I'm not entirely sure what this does. I didn't find a manual for this, but I did not look super hard for a manual specifically, so I might be able to do more about it. 35mm film is pretty typical. Looks like we've got a few functions here with the ability to move between them. That might be, if I had to guess, just based off this, because I don't have a battery to put in here, unfortunately. It takes CR2 times 2, so funky little battery that I do not just happen to have on hand. My guess is this might change what you see in the viewfinder. If so, it's all digital because it doesn't work, or maybe not digital, but at least electronic. I should say that. That definitely screen does not come on. So I'm not sure about its condition, but boy, doesn't this look familiar. All the different modes, not too far off from things that I'm more used to seeing and using. Pretty cool. I'm excited. One day, I've been talking about it for long enough. I really hope that at some point I'll be able to make a little dark room and actually play around with film photography, try exposing myself. I could. Some of the cameras we've gotten over the years here have had rolls of film already halfway developed, or halfway shot, I should say, not developed, but I could send those off and get them developed. I have no idea what would be on them, and I'd rather learn it myself, to be honest with you. I'd rather get a camera, get a lens, take some pictures with it, learn how to develop the photos myself, and then go back and develop all the old ones we happen to have. But that's something for the future. For the meantime, I, at the very least, want to get something to cover up and protect the sensor, because it's just going to sit on my shelf here and gather dust until some point in the future where I have... Does this release it, maybe? It might be an electronic release. Oh, look at that. It also has a hot shoe cover. Pretty cool. I like it. Somebody did not care for, again, that article I was talking about, the very opinionated, did not care for the silver and black, but I think it's a neat looking design. I'm really happy with it. And hey, it's the first Nikon I've ever owned. I'd like to get another one at some point. We're getting newer with these. I wouldn't mind if we started getting some digital cameras at some point, honestly. But not bad. As far as I understand it, if I'm going to start with a film camera, this might be the one to do it. I'm going to look to getting a Nikon lens at some point, start playing around with film photography, learn how to develop myself, build a darkroom. That is the future plan at some point in, as I said, the future. This might be the one to do it because it's got all the features. I imagine this will feel pretty close to some of the digital cameras I started out with from this time frame. But that'll do it. Next week, we got one more in this whole saga of cameras that came from Christmas. This is the last one that came out of the box that my dad sent me. Again, really appreciate that. I think it's really cool. I get to research and kind of learn about these old cameras, learn about the technology, see how far we've come, and then they look pretty cool on a shelf behind me. Next week, one more. We'll see you then.